Another week, another episode.
I know. How are you feeling?
I don't know, bro. I'm still obviously getting into the rhythm of it.
Yeah.
Still feel a little bit nervous. Like I'm trying to like get rid of those nerves with more reps, but I think it's something, it definitely takes a bit of time. Like I'm not a natural podcast, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, no, but I feel like you're naturally quite articulate though. Like you have a knack of like storytelling at least. You don't have a lot of filler words. I say a lot of filler words.
I don't know, bro. I feel like I still put a lot of well, if I'm not overthinking in my mind about how articulate I'm sounding, I feel like I do sound articulate, but when I'm in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, what do I sound like?
You can't think about it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
and so
it takes up too much brain space.
Yeah, when I'm overthinking it, then it just like, I'm like, oh my God, like, what am I talking about? Do I sound weird?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sweating. Like, what is going on? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't feel natural.
Yeah.
That's when I start to judge myself. But
yeah.
I think, like, it'll be something that we'll get better with over time.
Dude, kudos for you for doing the editing, though, because, like, I listen back to my voice and I'm just like...
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the way I sound, but it's just that reaction of hearing your own voice on camera, and it sounds a little bit different from how it sounds, like, in your head when you're talking, and I'm just like, ooh.
Where do you think this kind of ick towards your voice comes from?
I think everybody has it to a certain extent. It's just how how used to it you can get with it.
Right.
Because I don't know, I feel like most people when they hear their voice like on recording, they'll be like, ooh.
I don't know, bro. I kind of like the sound of
really?
No, I don't know whether that's just me being really like I don't know whether it's arrogant or just like
Maybe
self-centered.
You just love yourself, and that's okay.
I don't know. I just like the sound of my voice, and like
that's okay. That's good. I'm just like, oh my God, I hear my voice, and it's just like,
yeah.
I think maybe in my head, like I expect it to sound a little bit different or a little bit closer to how it sounds in my head. Yeah. And it's like, oh, like the little disparity just throws me off.
Right. Dude, when I was in uni and I had to do like video projects where I had to film myself, like I genuinely just enjoyed like...
Oh my God.
It sounds
He's
so
a
bad.
Content creator,
does that sound bad?
No, I think it's fine. Maybe it just suits that. Like that's why maybe content creation or like video...
kind of appeals to me a little bit more.
No, and like video making maybe suits you. Like suits because you actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like maybe a bit harder for someone who doesn't kind of thing.
Okay.
But no, but when I hear myself talk, even when like I send audio messages to my friends just like recapping something, I feel like I say like just like so much, and it's fair. Just like I just said it again.
Well,
like,
audio messages are different. I feel a bit weird as well when I'm sending like don't give me shit. Like
oh God.
When I'm sending like okay, so like on WeChat.
To the WeChat baddies.
Bro, do not mention the WeChat baddies.
I'm crying.
Oh my, no, okay, let me be serious. Let me be serious for a second.
Okay.
So when I prefer not to send like voice messages, but like in China when people use WeChat, it's really common for them just to send like, oh, 喂，我今天下午就住在那个上, like, you know.
Instead of like typing that
they don't type,
out.
exactly. It's just easier to say it.
It's faster.
Record it in an audio file, in an audio message.
Yeah.
And then there's actually a function on WeChat that you can translate it into text instantly.
Oh.
So it's so much faster. Like it's so much more efficient just to record your voice.
I see.
But because like when I'm actually speaking Mandarin, like, and I'm not recording myself, I listen to myself, I'm like, oh, I actually think I'm pretty decent. Like I feel like I'm almost like native level.
Yeah.
But when I record myself and then I hear it played back to me, I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, my tones are off, and like it just like I don't think I'm not actually as good as I think I am.
Yeah.
And so I don't actually like recording myself in a audio message on WeChat.
Yeah.
Like I generally normally type. It's only if like I've tried to push myself out of my comfort zone recently. I remember I was like asking one of my friends in China, she's from Guangzhou, and like I just was like, what is the right way to say like I got a tattoo today in Chinese? And so I was just trying to double check with her, like whether you use like 你我纹那个纹身 is like you use that as a verb
事情 or something.
I don't know, like she was like, oh, it's fine if you just like 我今天纹那个纹身 so like you use it as a verb.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure if that was the correct structure to actually say it in Chinese.
Yeah.
And she wasn't responding to me, so I was just like, oh, I'll just send like a voice message.
Yeah.
But like I feel like we're always just super judgmental about
like how we
sound, and especially like when it comes to Mandarin, like I have very high standards of myself.
Yeah.
And so it's just a bit weird.
Like do you think that's only for you like when you're speaking Mandarin though, but when you're speaking English like you don't really have that same
I don't think so.
Particular.
Yeah. It's only when I'm editing the podcast, I'm like, oh my God, like I said like about 3,000 times.
Dude, I say like so much. It actually just drives me insane when I hear myself talk. And I'm like, oh my God, everyone else in the world has to deal with me sounding like that. And I can't.
I mean, it's normal. Like, the podcast isn't scripted, so we're just kind of...
That's true. The podcast isn't as bad because like there's like, it's like a conversation. Like it's not just me yapping by myself for the entire hour. So I feel like it's like, oh, I get less cringy. I cringe slightly less at myself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, that's fair. I think like I just said it again. I just did it again.
No, I did it too. I'm pretty sure I said it like 5 times since the recording has started.
Well, I think if I was to do a solo episode, which I probably will end up doing in the future, it's just going to feel so weird. And I think I'm just going to continually overthink it.
Nah, you'll be fine. But that's why there's like post-editing processing, right? Like you just chop it up so that's like there's less lag between content pieces, etc.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I haven't learned that yet. So I'm like.
Nah, baby steps. Yeah, figure it out.
Baby steps. We still got to get like a proper intro.
We do.
I don't know how to do it.
But I'm not like musically inclined. I feel like a little jingle.
Do you want to do like a little song, bro?
Dude, I can't sing. Like I cannot sing.
What would be your song of choice for our intro?
Ooh, it has to encapsulate like both. You know, it's like when a movie starts and a character like is introduced and they have like a entering like song. Yeah. Maybe some like 2000s banger. Maybe.
What to like so fresh hits or?
I don't know. It has to like speak to both of us, I feel.
Okay.
When it comes to me, I'll think.
What about that song? Like, remember when y'all 2 years ago when your 2 Malaysian friends were over and y'all would give me so much shit? It was like, 对不起我的中文不好.
Oh my god, no, but like
对不起对不起
I know that song, but not. Oh my god, that's funny. Yeah, one of my friends, Ben, actually.
Yeah.
He had a friend in high school who learned Mandarin who isn't of Chinese descent, and it's like she always sang that song.
Oh really?
So, yeah.
Dude, I would rep that, bro. We could use
that
as our intro.
That's a lame intro. I don't want that to be my intro.
Okay. That's fair.
Also, we don't really speak Mandarin too much on this podcast.
That is true.
So I feel like it's like kind of related, but not really.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Bro, remember when I had that idea of like the Chinglish Chakra, bro?
Dude, that was one of like his options for the podcast, and I was like, please.
No. This was like
Wait,
2 years. That was like 2 years ago when I was like, yo. Okay, so I've actually been thinking about doing a podcast for a really long time.
Yeah.
But I think back then you were like, nah, I'm not into it.
Yeah.
But it was only because we met Eddie, and then Eddie already had all the gear, and then we're like, okay, now we're actually into it.
All right.
But back then I had an idea of like, because I think I've always had this kind of struggle between my identity of like living here in Australia, but also being, you know, an ABC and Australian born Chinese. And like, I just thought like, so some people, they mix like with their parents, they'll mix like English and Chinese. So it's like called Chinglish. And so one of me and Eddie's favorite shows is like this show called Naruto. And in there, they like have like this thing called Chakra. And it's basically like energy, and you like charge, like you channel the energy into like different like jutsus and stuff, like fire jutsus, water jutsus, things like that.
Yeah.
And so ages ago, I had this idea of like, I felt like Chinglish Chakra kind of just like represented who I was as a person. Just trying to figure out, you know, who I am in this world, being born and raised in Australia, but being of Chinese descent. Yeah. And, you know, my parents being immigrants, and just not really knowing who I was as a person and how that kind of fit into my cultural identity. Yeah. You know? And so I'm glad we didn't go with that name. Yeah. But that was something way back then I was feeling. And Zoe was like, bro, like, that doesn't even make sense, man. Like, what market is going to understand what that even means?
It's like, also, it's like, I feel like Chinglish sometimes in Malaysia at least, or like when I grew up, it's like, oh, it's just because it's a multilingual country and people learn English alongside Mandarin, and it's like, oh, you did. It's almost like perceived like you speak Chinglish, meaning like, oh, you can't speak English properly. Right. It's almost seen like, oh, like you just didn't learn the English language properly, so you're forced to like mix it with Chinese. Yeah, but I guess it's like perceived slightly differently in different contexts.
Yeah, I think in the West it's a bit different. Like, I know like my barber is actually Taiwanese, and he was telling me like, so before I had met Monica's boyfriend, like I didn't know Taiwanese was actually a language. Oh yeah. I thought when I used, because like before, when I was studying Mandarin pretty intensively, I would go on YouTube and just like watch a whole bunch of like Chinese videos and just try to get as much comprehensible input as I could. And I don't know, for some reason I just thought when people were like, oh, I speak Taiwanese, I thought they meant like they're just speaking Mandarin but in a Taiwanese accent. Nah. Right? And then when I met him after City to Surf, I was like, he was like, oh, I speak Taiwanese. I was like, what is Taiwanese? Like, And
The
then he
dialect.
tried to speak it to me.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell is that? I have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then it turns out like they have their own
dialect,
which people call Taiwanese, but I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
Anyways, I told my barber about this because he's Taiwanese.
Yeah.
And then he basically was like, oh, like, do you speak Taiwanese with your family? He's like, nah, not at all. Like, we only speak Mandarin. I was like, oh, like, why not? And then he was like, oh, 那种说方言的人就是很低. I was like, what do you mean by that? Like, they're very,
really?
yeah, like very low. I was like, what do you mean? Like, they're very low. And then he basically explained like, people look down upon people that can only speak the dialect.
Wait,
it's like,
really? Why?
yeah, because if they're like, if you can only speak the dialect, that means that you came from the farm. You come from the village, you're uneducated. Exactly.
But
so if you speak Mandarin and you speak it more, in a more 标准, more standard accent, then you have high education level. And then if you speak English, they're like, oh my God, like that's crazy.
But isn't that kind of sad though? Because like it's almost perceived like, oh, like it's not that good to know like your native tongue because of like the social economic connotations that it comes with that.
Yeah.
Wait, that's kind of sad though, because I was gonna say like I think it's so cool that you would know like Mandarin as well as like your native dialect. I think I say that because personally like I can't speak my parents' dialect, which is like Hokkien and Hakka.
Yeah.
I speak Mandarin.
Yeah.
I can barely speak Cantonese. Can order food in Cantonese.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how much the extent of my Cantonese extends to.
Yeah.
But damn, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, I think like us kind of growing up in the West or like being in Western society, I think it's cooler because we just look at it from the perspective of like,
oh, you're doing
how many languages do you speak?
Yeah,
like that's cooler, right? The more languages you speak is like, okay, that that's more respect in my eyes.
Yeah,
but for people of that generation and people who come from Taiwan or come from mainland China, that's just perceived as like,
maybe that's a Taiwan specific thing. I don't know if that applies to like the rest of.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think so. Yeah. One of the students that I used to live in my house, like he's from Beijing, and like whenever he goes back to his cousins, like his mom is from Hebei, and then whenever he goes back to the jiaxiang, like the family,
like the
family
hometown.
town, the hometown, at Chinese New Year, he's like, oh, some of my cousins like they speak to me in the dialect and I can kind of understand, but I can't really. And like when they speak Mandarin, it sounds really weird. It just doesn't sound like
Mandarin.
Yeah, it's just not standard at all.
Right.
And he's like, oh yeah, it's just weird. And he kind of looks at like, even though they're family, it's like I think he kind of like it's the same notion as well. But you can understand it, right?
Yeah.
It's like everyone from the village is trying to study as hard as they can so they can get out of the village and go to like a 一线城市, like a tier 1 city.
Yeah.
And then people from the tier 1 city are trying to study as hard as they can so they can go overseas.
Yeah.
And go and get a better quality of life for them and their future generations.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, we don't look at it the same way. It's very different.
I can kind of get it because some of my cousins when I go back to my parents' hometowns, a lot of them like speak the dialect, but they don't really speak Mandarin that well.
Yeah.
So it's also like,
are these cousins that I know or?
No. So it's on my mom's side.
Okay, yeah.
But it's just like they all speak like Hakka. They don't really speak Chinese as much, except like the younger kids who like learn Mandarin in school.
Right.
But it's always like I felt weird because like I guess they would tease me. They'd be like, "Oh, like you're like the whitewashed kid.
Right.
You're like the one who didn't like learn the language."
What would they actually say? Did they say this to you in Mandarin or what?
Yeah. They're just like, "Oh, like just like
damn,
this.
whitewash be used as an insult in Malaysia, bro.
No, as in like it's like not in a bad way, but it's because like I went to international school, so I speak primarily to English and like I speak English to my parents, and it's just like I get it though, because it's like my parents didn't move to the big like the capital of Malaysia, and then my cousins kind of just stayed in their hometown, so it kind of makes sense that they predominantly speak these dialects in these states. But yeah, it's just interesting to see. But I think the flip side was just because I was the only one who didn't understand it. So I felt like, everyone's like speaking dialect, and I'm just the only one who doesn't really understand. I was like, okay, I felt like the one that was like,
wait, were they speaking Hakka?
Yeah, they speak in Hakka.
Okay.
Well, some of them speak in Mandarin, but their Mandarin is not as good as their Hakka.
Right.
Because Hakka is like their native tongue.
Right. Okay.
Essentially.
But they still had to learn Mandarin. Wait, these are cousins in Malaysia, right?
Yeah. So the older ones didn't.
Where are they? Like in
like Kedah, Perlis, so it's like north side of Malaysia.
Okay.
Close to the border of Thailand.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. I mean, that would just be I mean, that's just their native tongue, right?
I
It's
guess
the same
so.
with Mavis and speaking Cantonese, and like that's her Cantonese is better than her Mandarin.
I guess so. Yeah, it's like cultural context and stuff. But it's like interesting because it's like,
Yeah.
I guess it's like that aversion of like kids who have moved to a Western society. They have like
Yeah.
a slight aversion of learning their mother tongue at the start.
Right.
Well, when they're younger, right? Because
Some people still do.
Yeah, because they're like,
some people
oh,
will carry it the whole life.
yeah, because they're like, oh, they just want to like reject their.
They want to
roots a
reject their
little
culture.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's kind of crazy how that evolves, right? Where it's like it's kind
Mm.
of like I would say even like English speaking countries have like a certain degree of what you described. Where, for example, like maybe like correct me if I'm wrong. I could be totally wrong, but in like the UK, it's like they're like there's like the posh British accent, like in like the London schools, and they're like different parts of UK have like their
they
own
speak
unique
like chavs,
accent.
bro. Changes can like
And
the
it
scout.
sounds,
There's
it
like the
sounds
scout
almost
accent.
like a different dialect because
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
way
yeah.
of the slang that they
Yeah,
use
yeah,
and
yeah.
everything. So it's like
Yeah.
I guess to a certain extent, it's like where you're from, and then some. Like I've heard stories from my friends from the UK. This might be a blanket overgeneralized statement, but it's like, oh, people try to, like, if they're working in like corporate settings in London when they're not from London, it's like they try to cover up their hometown accent with like the standard Queen's English British accent, so they're like taken more seriously in the corporate setting, or like they're just perceived to be like, oh, it's like I speak with a posh British accent, so I must have went to like Eton, like the best like private school in like the UK or something. So I guess it exists in like not just non-English speaking countries. I guess like elsewhere it's kind of like the same. I guess America too. It's like I'm not sure if it applies to America though, but since I feel like their accents aren't as obviously different as like the UK, but there are differences in accents.
No, there still is like south to.
Yeah. But I don't think maybe that. I can't really speak to whether or not they care of adopting like
fair.
the generic American sounding Valley Girl accent or whatever.
Dude, it's so crazy how, you know, when I was in high school, I used to be like, yo, like I think like it was part of my banana complex. I would be like, dude, I'm like definitely top 3 most
my god,
top 3 most whitewashed Asians.
You're ranked there,
dude. I was like, I'm top 3 most whitewashed Asians
crazy.
in all of Sydney, bro. And that was just part of my cultural rejection, right? At the time, 'cause I was like, man, I want to be white. Like, I just
I've definitely met more whitewashed Asians than
cultural identity issues to its core. I was just confused. I didn't know who I was. I just completely rejected my culture. But it's crazy how in Western society that can be used as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, I'm completely rejecting my culture. I don't want anything to do with it. Like, I'm completely Westernized.
It's because we're the minority, right?
Yeah, exactly. But in Malaysia, it's like, you're the whitewashed kid.
Yeah,
you're the kid who can't speak Mandarin,
and like
you bring shame to the family, like that kind of thing.
It's like, why are you glorifying Western culture? When you're, like in Malaysia, it's like, why are you doing that?
It's so crazy how your upbringing can just have such a huge impact on like your way of thinking, your 思想, like and just the way you view the world.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
It is interesting though, because it's like. Oh, it's like, are you, like they're like, oh, are you ashamed of like being Malaysian? Are you ashamed of like your culture? It's like, why do you feel like you've put on this facade that's not the common adopted like demeanor of like everybody else? Kind of thing. So yeah.
Do you feel like you have a little bit of that, like the whitewashed Asian complex, or not really?
I don't know. Like I feel like I didn't really grow. Like I grew up with a bunch of like other Malaysian Chinese like in school and everything. So it's like. Everyone's pretty similar, so I never felt the need to particularly, but
I feel like you got the dyed blonde hair, like
I know.
If I saw you like dating a white guy, I'd be like, oh, all right.
It makes sense.
I'm not surprised, you know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really think too much about it.
Okay.
But I grew up with a bunch of like Malaysian Chinese who are very similar to me. All speak Mandarin, like varying levels of like fluency or whatever. Some who did know how to speak dialect, some who didn't, and it's just like.
But you spoke to most of your friends in English, right?
Yeah, but we throw in a bit of like Chinese in here and there when like appropriate. I feel like as
how do you do it? Can you give me a bit of that Chinglish, bro? Give me some of that Chinglish chakra, bro. I want to hear some of that Chinglish chakra.
My Mandarin is like no, but the way I speak Mandarin here and the way I speak Mandarin in Malaysia is like slightly different.
Okay.
Like in terms of the accent.
What's different?
It's like how I speak English here and how I speak English back in Malaysia is like slightly different. It's just
you're trying to make it sound a bit more standard.
Nah, it's like here I make it sound more standard just because there's more mainland Chinese people here.
Right.
Whereas in Malaysia, I just like swapped to that Malaysian sounding accent a bit more.
Right.
I don't really know how to describe it, but it's just like
it's
slang.
code switching. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like the slang and everything.
Yeah. Okay.
So like an example I can think of like straight off of my head is like 你这样做 is like 这样is like 2 words, right?
Yeah.
But like in Malaysia, we'll just like shorten that. We'll be like 这样.
Jiang.
Yeah.
Bro, that sounds like sauce.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
sounds like sauce.
Yeah,
bro.
exactly.
What?
No, and like when we type it, we actually just like type it that way too, where it's like, oh, like, oh, 这样好. Like we literally just like
what?
like just, but it's like a slang. It's like a short form.
Damn.
It's like saying how like it's not the same. It's saying how like Riz is the short for charisma.
Okay.
It's just like a
Right,
shorthand. Like you know what I mean?
Okay,
like it's
okay.
like it's not grammatically correct. But
Right,
it's just how
right.
we use the word.
Right.
We know
okay.
it's not grammatically correct, but
Okay,
it's just how we
okay.
understand it.
I've never heard of that before.
Like it's a Malaysian thing, I think.
Yeah, okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Damn, bro. I feel like you wouldn't know any of these unless you've lived in Malaysia for a period of time or you have Malaysian friends.
Yeah.
Like I've literally never heard of that.
It's like cultural context. Oh my god, I had a really interesting conversation with somebody on like
Yeah.
was it Thursday?
Okay.
Like I went to this like AI like networking talk event
Yeah.
thing, and like I
Yeah.
met this girl. She's like a UX designer, and she was building like she was doing research into like how linguistics and stuff affect AI models, and like how a lot of like the like ChatGPT and all like the major LLMs now are trained on like English language, right?
Okay.
But it's like if a non-native English speaker, like someone tried to use the language model, but like there's so much like social context that sometimes that's not captured within English. For example, like Korean is the first language I think of, for example, that you know how there's like honorifics and there's the more casual choice of words that they use.
Yeah, okay.
And it's like there's so much like social context in terms of how they would word something just based off of like who you're speaking to, that someone who's older, someone who's younger, someone who's the same age as you, someone who's like your superior, like that sort of thing.
Right.
But it's not really captured. And like, you know how like even how they would like suggest ideas, it's based off like the data it's trained on. So I think like primarily American data, I guess, because like LLMs are primarily built in the States.
Yeah.
So it's like these data models and these suggestions are kind of like trained off of ideas that first ideated like in Western cultures.
Okay.
And it's like, for example, like maybe they ask them like what's standard, like what I want a meal plan this week. Like, can you spit out something that uses these ingredients and fits like these macros because I want to hit these goals? Their first like suggestions will definitely be like a Western menu. Like it wouldn't be like an Asian menu or like whatever. And like it wouldn't really have the context. For example, if someone in, I don't know, like this certain region in China where they use like a certain herb a lot, or like use these sort of cooking, I feel like it might not necessarily capture that context. Or even in Malaysia where there's like a bunch of different like herbs and like spices that are like called, I don't even know what their English names are. I know what their Malay names are, or their Chinese names are. Yeah. So it's like these LLMs just like don't have these cultural contexts just because of like the data it's trained on. It's primarily in English. And I imagine like even in China and like, but I guess like China has built like DeepSeek and a bunch of like.
My dad loves DeepSeek.
My dad loves DeepSeek too.
When DeepSeek got a release, my dad was like, "Yes, China number one. Right, we're taking over."
I'm crying. Yeah, my dad and mom love DeepSeek too. It's quite.
Bro, I gotta tell you a story. So like when DeepSeek first came out, like I was like training for the Hoka half.
Yeah.
And like I think I was spending a lot of time with him because he wasn't working, and I think like I had just resigned. Yeah. And basically we went and drove up to Palm Beach, and I was like, okay, I was trying to figure out. I was using Strava to try and figure out a route, like a 5K route that I can run around there, which had which was pretty scenic. Anyways, I was like, oh, like this, like I can't find like one that is like ideal with like minimal elevation. Yeah. Yeah. And so I was looking at all the ones that Strava was kind of showing me, and I was like, oh, like they look a bit like the terrain's just a bit weird. Like, like it's kind of like borderline trail running. Yeah. Anyways, I was like, okay, let me see what ChatGPT can do. So I was like, all right, ChatGPT. I was like, can you please generate me a route in Palm Beach, New South Wales, with roughly 7 kilometers, like less than 100 meters elevation, blah blah blah, and stuff. And my dad was like, don't worry about ChatGPT, mate. Like, and he pulls out DeepSeek and he's like, I'll show you. Like, yeah, this is so much better. Like,
that's
all this
so
stuff.
Funny.
Bro, it's so funny how like my dad is like only been to China like 3 times in his life.
Yeah.
But it's like whenever any kind of technology comes out
He's
from
like
China,
my dad's the same.
he's a legit patriot.
He's like
bro.
patriotic
He's like,
about it.
no,
My
yeah,
dad's the same.
yeah.
My dad's the same. It's
Yeah,
like
it's crazy.
It's like when like Western media posts like something bad about like Chinese or whatever, my dad's like, they don't understand the whole fun. I'm like, whoa, okay. But yeah, it's just like interesting to observe since like they're a couple generations removed from China, but they're still that patriotism is still
they're
like
still so proud of it.
Yeah. It's really interesting though.
It's crazy. Do you think do you have that a little bit or not really? I feel like mine's growing. Like in the past I was like, bro, like I want nothing to do with China.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with anything to do with like that. Like I don't want
I think it's like I'm like impartial because I don't fully understand it. I've like the last time I've been to China was like about ages ago. I went to Beijing when I was like 15 maybe on a school trip. Yeah. That's probably the last time I went, honestly.
How did you feel when you went there for the first time?
I went there with a bunch of school friends. It was like a high school trip. I just had fun. I love dumplings. I was like, it's a good time. We visited this place. Like, it was fun. Like,
you didn't really look into politics or...
Nah. Yeah. I was like, I didn't take history for GCSE, so I feel like I kind of just like, oh, whatever. History at that point.
Well, it's funny because like, if you think about it, right, all of our ancestors kind of immigrated away from China.
Yeah.
And I don't know the full history, but it probably would have been around the time like Mao was in power.
I don't know the timeline.
I don't know the exact timeline.
My family.
I feel like I'm also quite far removed because it's been at least 3 generations. Like my great grandpa was the one that immigrated from southern China to Vietnam. Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. You still think about it, and it's like when they release any kind of new technology, and it's like you think of China as like the economic superpower they are today. Yeah. It's like you feel that sense of like.
Yeah, no,
it's like is it like pride? What would you? How do you describe it?
I think our parents definitely feel it more, right? Because they're definitely closer to like the war times. Like they've seen like their parents or their grandparents like go through it. Like they literally had to like flee. Like they were struggling so hard, but like they're probably so proud. They're like, oh, like they're doing so well now. Like they literally had to eat like potatoes were like a luxury. Back in the day. And
my grandpa's older sister, she actually had only eaten. She ate sweet potato her entire life. That was all she ate,
and that's the only thing.
And now she's like, she can't like she'll eat anything, but she can't eat sweet potato. She hates that shit.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, she's probably scarred for life.
Yeah, exactly.
Or just probably reminds her of that time a bit too much.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy that generation just would have essentially like lived through poverty, and then they would have witnessed like the 改革开放, like the revolution started by Deng Xiaoping. And then like now that China has like advanced so much in terms of their technology, you know, everything is just digital. You just go there and you use WeChat Pay. And you know, their bullet trains are crazy, and like just technology in general is just like it's a whole new world when you're over there.
I think it's also just like seeing that we didn't live in that era where it's like my dad says in like, oh, like there's time he didn't live it through it, but I think like his grandparents told him about it. Where it's like wait,
so were your dad's grandparents? They were born in China.
So on my mom's side, it's my mom's grandparents that moved. On my dad's side, it's my dad's parents, which is your
That's my grand.
Yes, but it's like my dad's parents.
No, it's my great grandparents, or is it?
It's like my dad's parents were the one that like moved to Malaysia.
Oh, that's my great grandparents.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So it was a bit closer for my a bit longer for my mom, a bit more recent for my dad. Yeah, okay. But my dad was like, oh, like because I think it's like just stories his elder siblings or whatever told him. It's like, oh, like Chinese people were humiliated back in the. Do you not see like they're like historical science where it's like,
no, why would they humiliate?
Like dogs and Chinese people sit outside. Like
what?
They would categorize them as like the same kind. Like, oh, like
where was this? No, I've never heard of this before.
I think this is like when we were like colonized and everything. I can't remember like which country, or was it like in Malaysia, like after the honestly, please fact check me on my history. My history is probably so inaccurate.
It's fine. It's calm. Not a history. We're not a history channel, guys.
I'm sorry. I should probably like do
it's fine.
research before I like spit random facts that might be untrue. But yeah, like it was just like we were just like perceived to be like, I guess slaves. Is that too harsh a word? Like we're like, oh, we were just seen as like the lesser than like
Compared
class.
to who? Like West, like
when we got
Caucasian?
colonized and everything, or when the Japanese attacked
Oh,
China, that's
okay,
what
okay,
era.
okay,
So
okay.
like when there were
That's in the
restaurants and
1900s,
everything,
yeah.
and everything. So there were literally like signs that would say like dogs in Chinese sit outside.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
like signs like that.
Okay.
So I guess in like the way my dad sees it, obviously I've never lived through that, so I've like
Yeah.
like China's doing great. I'm not super proud of it. I'm not super adverse against it. I'm like, it's
Yeah,
okay.
okay.
It's a neutral.
Yeah.
It's a neutral statement to
Okay.
me. But to them, it's like,
Okay.
like Chinese people used to be humiliated in the past, but
Right.
they're doing so well now, so they feel like a sense of pride because
Right.
of that.
Okay.
So yeah,
Nah, bro. I think I'm not neutral, bro. I think I'm like more on the China side now.
we love
like,
that.
Back
We
in the
love
day,
that.
back in the
We
day,
love
I
that.
was like, nah, like that's gross. Like that's so weird.
Yeah.
And I was like, that would just scare me. But like now that I'm really walking with my culture, I'm proud of it.
Mhm.
It's like even I rep like all the
I'm
different different basketball jerseys.
Why did you get a Xinjiang one?
Taobao.
Oh,
You can
fair.
only get it from Taobao.
No, but why did you get a Xinjiang one?
I just like the colors, bro.
Fair.
I didn't actually know anything about the politics at the
Okay.
time. There's obviously like a whole bunch of stuff that's
yeah.
happening there, which is controversial, which I don't really know that much. Like I know a little
Yeah.
bit from my sister's boyfriend because he reads up on a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I honestly, when I bought it, I was like, I just like the colors. I didn't even know. I wasn't even learning Mandarin at the time.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, like I've never heard of Xinjiang, but like I like the color scheme.
Yeah,
and I fuck
yeah.
with it, so
That's fair.
yeah. I know. I guess it's one of those things where it feels a bit weird because, you know, just growing up in Australia, being born and raised in Sydney, you're just always like, especially as an ABC, as an Australian born Chinese, you're just like living between two worlds. You know, it's like your parents have like a much closer connection with the motherland.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it's a spectrum, right? Some people, their parents speak to them in Mandarin.
Yeah.
And they speak back to them in Mandarin. And like, I have a friend, her parents are Shanghainese, and she speaks like, she can't read, but her Mandarin is like a lot better than mine.
Mm-hmm.
And because she was speaking Mandarin from a young age, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, there are also people like me who grew up, my parents spoke Mandarin to me, spoke to me both in English and Mandarin from the age of 0 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I started primary school, they were like, oh, you stopped responding to us in Mandarin, so we just only spoke to you in English, right? But then there's also people that are like ethnically Chinese, and their parents didn't speak to them in any Mandarin at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they just kind of have completely like...
detached from
completely
their culture.
detached, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So one of my sister's friend's brothers, he's kind of like that. And so, yes, it's something where it's so weird because the spectrum is just so big.
Yeah.
In terms of like the connection with the motherland.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's something where I'm really growing into and I'm learning to be more proud of where I come from.
Yeah.
And like back in those days, I think like it was definitely a lot harder in that generation because, you know, the racism that they experienced back in the day was a lot harsher than what we experience here today.
Yeah.
Even though I went through a lot of my own stuff, like my mom, like I've told the story previously on the podcast, like my mom grew up in the East for a little bit in Vaucluse, and like the neighbors used to like dump rubbish on their front lawn.
Really?
Yeah, they used to dump rubbish on their front lawn. And so like me and my sister talk about this, and it's like we're learning to like be proud of our cultural identity.
Yeah.
And be like, you know, Australia is a very multicultural country.
Yeah.
And it's like we actually have a place and we belong, and we're allowed to rep who we are and our culture and all the food and everything that comes with it. But back in those days, I feel like our parents, at least for my mom, she had to kind of like she was just confused about who she was. She was like, she's ethnic. She's writing about this for her book.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read some of her short stories and her poems, but she was like so confused because she was like, okay, I'm born in Vietnam. You know, at the beginning, her nationality was Vietnamese, but she's ethnically Chinese, but she's born and raised in, she's lived in Australia from the age of 10.
Yeah.
Right. And so there was just so much confusion in terms of her identity of like who she is as a person.
Yeah.
And like I've gone through the same thing, but I think not
to her extent,
right? And it's like, yeah, my sister's she's been going through some stuff at work recently, and like I won't go into all the details, but there's just been some issues at work, and like I think part of it is the fact that she's Asian.
Damn.
And it's like, you know, she went to my dad for advice about this, and she was like, you know, my sister is a lawyer, and she went through 5 years of university, and it's like she went through all of that in order to advocate for people of color, in order to advocate for people that are minorities. And it's like when she told my dad about all these issues she was having at work of like not being included and like them not giving her work and stuff, it's like my dad was like, no, like you can't rock the boat. You shouldn't be rocking the boat and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's like that was their mentality back then because they were immigrants here and they
it was actually unsafe, I would say. Like,
do you reckon?
I think so. Or like they would, in terms of survival rights,
Right.
if they got excluded, they'd be like, oh, they could just let you go, and then where's he gonna get his income from at that point?
Right. I think it was definitely much harder back in those days. But my sister was like, no, like I disagree with you. And when she was telling me about this, I was like I'm on your side 110%. Like, you know, if you're getting excluded at work and like part of it is because of your ethnicity, I'm like, no, like you
talk to HR.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah, go to HR. Like you need to put in a complaint and you need to like, yeah, like you need to do something about this because like. It's like mom and dad did not, our grandparents did not put their entire life savings. So dad could immigrate here, get an education. Mom did not go through a 6-day boat trip where they almost died on the 3rd night in a storm for us to not be happy and for us to not, have the same opportunities as other people.
Yeah.
Regardless of race.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, no, I was like, I'm on her side 110%.
Yeah.
But you need, like, if shit is like, things are not, if you're not being treated equally at work and it's because you're a person of color, it's like you need to be taking action.
Yeah.
And so but it's one of those things where it's like back in those days, that generation, it was completely different.
Yeah.
Right. And they were like just kind of okay to just be here in Australia and have the opportunities and the quality of life that we have here.
I think they kind of like what was the thing they crawled so we could walk or something. What's that phrase?
They crawled so we could walk.
Like, you know how they paved the way for us, but there's a phrase for it, but I can't remember. But what I was trying to say was like they were the first people who came here. So now it's like we're a couple generations in. So like people here are used to seeing people like us around. Right. So then it's like they should be a little bit more tolerant. I don't know what's the word, but in that regard, it's like because
back in those days,
like they were literally because you don't belong because they literally just
white Australia policy was not that like I think I'm gonna take a wild guess and say it was the 70s. I don't know exactly when that was abolished, but it's like people of color, it was just not there was not as many people from like right now you look at 2025 Australia. Is very multicultural. Yeah. It does also depend on which areas of Sydney that you're in and which parts of Australia. But it's like back in those days when when my dad first moved here, it's like it was probably not as often you would see Asians in corporate or like, seeing an Asian, someone who's like person of color who's a lawyer. Yeah. Things like that.
Yeah. 100%.
So, yeah.
I think because of that, there's less visibility. They didn't want to rock the boat as much because they just didn't have that many people backing them. So if like, because they're the minority, right? If the majority still votes against them, they're like, oh, like we want you out. Like he has nothing to back himself for. Right. So like maybe that's why. Maybe that also reason why he was like, oh, like just don't rock the boat. Like you're here to make it work, and the odds are just stacked against you. So you have it's gonna freaking be unfair, but it is what it is. But this is probably more applicable in your dad's era versus like now. Yeah, but like I guess it's like something where I feel like now that we're one generation on, we shouldn't be living with that mindset of like, oh, we're okay to just be that person in the background. Yeah, I agree. And, they're just hired because of they're a person of color or whatever. It's tokenism. Like, no. Exactly. Tokenism. And it's like we should not accept that. Like that was the bare minimum back then. Yeah. But now that we're the next generation, like we should be fighting for the exact same opportunities that other Australians have as well. Yeah, 100%. So, I'm happy that my sister is doing something about it. That's good. Does she have support? I don't know whether she has a whole bunch of support at work. Obviously, me, my sister, and my dad are like always behind her. I think like, this is part of the reason that me and my dad have had just so many clashes over the years. Just because our mindset is different. Yeah. But my sister 100% has my support and has my mum's. But it's something that's hard, right? 100%. When you know that you're a person of color in a workplace that's And you're still like starting out in your career.
Yeah, you're just starting, new grad.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, that's what people who study law, it's like it's like she has an innate drive in her to advocate for people that maybe people of disability or people of color or people who are minorities in whatever way, whatever form. And it's like, she should be doing that. She should be trying to rock the boat. And I'm happy that she is. So
yeah, I hope things work out for her and that she does fine. Or like people who can relate to her and like, or who have been in her shoes. Cause I'm sure like we're in an age now where there's probably like a generation of like lawyers who have been who have experienced similar things and probably can provide like their own experience of how they've dealt with it and like what to do otherwise. But I know in more traditional like corporate settings, like that's still really hard. Yeah. Even in a non like racial context, like just being a woman in those contexts is quite difficult. Yeah. Because it's just such a male dominated space. And law is one of those like I feel like spaces where it's like the way you speak and present yourself and like how many people agree with you is quite important in your workplace. But yeah.
How do you feel as a Asian woman in STEM?
Oh, I feel like tech. I don't know. Maybe I've been really lucky too. So I've only worked at my company for like the entirety of my full-time career. And it's a really inclusive space. Like it's still definitely male dominated, but the culture and the people that has like cultivated the workplace is just I've never felt like outed. I have like my own imposter syndrome that I deal with, but that's like something I go through. Because
what does that come?
Just being like feel like you're not good enough. Also, just because in my company, it started off as a startup. I think now we're technically considered a scale up, but they hired more like senior engineers. Obviously, that makes more sense because with the product we want to build, you don't want to start from ground zero all the time. So, I was one of like the first entry level software engineers that they've had. And like I always like, because there was no other entry level grads. I kind of just like saw that. I kind of just like compared myself to the more senior engineers, but obviously that's like an unrealistic comparison because they have like 6-7 years under their belt, whereas like I just started like a year or two, and obviously like I'm missing 6 years of like building and experience that they don't have. So it's like I'm like, oh my god, like I don't like I always put pressure on myself like the first year or so. Like I don't fix bugs as fast as they do. Like I don't come with technical solutions that are as robust as they do. But it's an unfair comparison. I'm comparing with somebody who has worked in the industry for so many more years that I had. But in terms of like the inclusivity part, like I've never felt like that I was like out, like excluded from anything. It's like I always felt my voice was heard. Like everyone always made an effort to like listen when I had something to say. I think it's more of me like building that confidence to be like, okay, like this is a technical approach I believe is like a good idea. I think like it's more of like imposter syndrome on my part to have that courage, to have that confidence in my technical skills that my voice deserves to be heard. But yeah, I can't complain. I feel like tech as an industry is a bit less traditional than corporate. It's also more fast paced, I guess. And then I don't know, like it's less traditional. People in order to be successful in tech, I feel you have to be a bit disruptive, like the products that you build. So I guess that kind of shows in the culture too, where it's like, oh, we want people with. Also, when you build products for people, I guess it depends on like the product you build as well. But for example, if like your user base, something like Facebook, Instagram, like literally like everyone and anyone is a potential user. So the more diversity you have in the team that builds the product for these people, like the better product you get. So yeah. There's this thing as well where it's like amongst girls sometimes it, like because we have like women in tech, like women in software engineering sort of meetups, and it's like we have this like running joke where it's like you can tell when a product's built by a man. One of those examples is like the early stages of like fitness tracking devices, for example, like watches and everything. So they had like metrics down to like how much how much, I can't remember the exact name of the mineral, but down to the exact mineral like that had like is in your bloodstream. But they had a very basic thing that they missed that was for women, which was like period tracking. And it's just like, oh, you can tell this. And like,
is this for which watch?
It's for a watch. I think it was one of those like bioengineering like devices. I don't
Okay.
think
Yep.
I can't remember the exact like device that was for, but it was
Yep.
like it was like early days, but it's like
Yep.
it was so like advanced in terms of technology of detecting of like minerals that are in your bloodstream, but it missed such a fundamental part for women, which was like basic
Yep.
period tracking.
Right.
And it's just like interesting. You can tell that's why we're like,
Yeah.
this product was built for a man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't built
by
for
a man
woman.
for a man.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just like, and I feel like recently in the last couple years, like in media and stuff, like there's more education about like what we call like cycle syncing in terms of men operate on 24-hour cycles. Like
Okay.
you guys typically like your energy levels like rise around the same times of day and like drop around the same times of day, and you guys are quite systematic
Okay.
from one day to another
Yep.
kind of thing. But women operate on months-long cycles.
Right.
So how we work is like
oh really?
yeah, so
Okay.
it's
I
like
didn't know this.
ovulation, follicular
Yep,
phase,
yep, okay.
your menstrual cycle, and
Yep.
the luteal, and then your menstrual cycle. So
Right.
it's like our energy levels are highest in our ovulation phase. Like our energies are like the lowest are in our luteal phase. And this is actually like I actually noticed a difference. Like when I'm doing marathon training and stuff, like my runs like the week before my period absolutely suck.
Right.
And I really have to like it's really a mental game. Like I just gotta do it.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be my best run.
Yeah.
But I just gotta do it kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Or like you can hit your stats, but you just feel really like exhausted doing
Yeah.
it. But then the week after, you're like, oh my god, I'm like flying through.
Yeah.
Like these runs feel so great. Like I
Yeah.
feel my mood is like amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's just like that small nuances. But I guess for you guys, it's like there's certain for you guys because you guys have 24-hour cycles.
Yeah.
It's certain times of day where you guys feel most energized,
Mm.
and like it's different for each individual, but it's typically within that 24-hour
Right.
sort of like timeline.
I had no idea about any of that, bro.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
You're
more
out
you
here,
know.
you're out here educating me, bro.
I know. I'll send you reels that talk about it more, and you
Okay.
can figure it out. But yeah.
Oh my god. All right. I think we should wrap up this
Yeah.
week's episode. Alrighty, cool. Well, thanks so much for tuning in for another episode of Late Now Hot Pot. I'm your host, Jeremy,
And I'm Zoe.
and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.